All right, welcome to now the dialing in process of the 718 GT4. Car's home, I drove it, it has now 99 miles on it. So I drove it quite a bit yesterday. It rained all day. There's crap all over it, bugs and leaves and all kinds of sand and junk. So I guess that makes the detail better. So what we're going to do through this series, or this part of the series, I guess I should say, is show you all of the products that lead up to what I'm going to call the, I don't know, trying to think of a cool name. Is it the Master Obsessed Garage Detailing Package? Is it the Criterion Collection? I was thinking about that last night. Maybe I'll do something like that. I need to come up with a cool name. Maybe put it in the comments of what you think I should call it. But I've been envisioning this from day one, was to have a giant listing of every single thing that I use to detail a car. And then someday we'll have every single thing that makes up the entire garage. You know, the Criterion, the Matt Mormon Crazy Collection or something like that. And so I'm going to take you through each one of those. This will be much more documentary style than we normally do on this decontamination process. But what we're going to work on here right now today, there is no engine bay to clean, but that would normally be the first step. What I'm going to do is take care of the wheels. The wheels are actually going to come off the car, but they're dirty enough now that I'm gonna actually clean the wheels. I think I am. What do you think? And yeah, I guess I'm going to clean the wheels, and then we're going to do the three-step decon process: decon soap, iron removal with Optimum Ferrex, or I think I have some leftover Carpro Iron X here, same product, and then auto scrub with Nanoskin Glide. So that's the plan. So let's get started. It's going to be really sweaty, really hot. I mean, it is literally 90% humidity right now, and so I don't know. Let's work through the process. I'll talk about the products. We're going to get a lot of hopefully cool shots and show you how to do this. Okay, so here's what we're going to use in this Decon soap. PF 22.2 foam cannon with the OG quick disconnect, which I kind of ruined with some APC, but it still works. This is the prototype funnel. Well, this is the cap that we're using. So we'll be doing 150-ish milliliters of soap. The foam cannon, microfiber Madison Creta Pad XL, the press-all bottle with some Iron X. I'm going to use the big pad and the little pad, so I like having these two things with the strap. This is the Nanoskin Fine. I don't think you need anything more than Fine. I've never needed the more aggressive version. This does a great job of removing any contaminants. Not a lot of surface contaminants on the car. I noticed when I washed it at the dealership. And we're going to dilute this 7-to-1. So let's get our soap going. This is the second iteration of the funnel, which I now fill up to the top, and that gives me 150 milliliters of soap. I don't fill it all the way to the top because it was already draining. Let's dilute our Nanoskin so we have that ready to go, and then we can move. And then what I'll usually use, this is a Adams funnel, which we have in the store as well. I use this funnel more than anything, and we need to dilute 7-to-1, but I just eyeball it. This isn't critical. You just want to, there's already some in there. That looks about good. And I normally keep, so if you're not doing a lot of cars, 32 ounces is probably fine to hold you over, but I like to have a gallon of all of these products. And actually I need to go grab a gallon of Ferrex because I've almost finished up all my old Iron X. So I'm going to fill this up with regular water. If you wanted to be really critical, you could fill it up with DI water, but regular water's fine because we're going to have regular water on the car. The other thing I need to do, I keep talking about, is I need to go get the stainless screw for this thing. You'd think I'd have all the best stuff here. Okay. Looks pretty good. Boom. All right, let's go outside. All right, so first wheel, again, these are carbon ceramics. The key with carbon ceramics is to blow out all the pad material, especially when they're new, because they're squeak crazy when they're new, like brand spanking new. I mean, the car had, again, 13 miles on it when I got it. brand new, ordered those 13 miles. A lot of times I think they do it at the Porsche test track and then driving it in the delivery centers and onto the ship and stuff like that. But what I'm going to be using here in the bucket, I've got Easy Detail brush. I just blew off the ground, Microfiber Madness Incredible brush, which this is like my original one that I've never washed. I had assumed I'd need like all kinds of replacement pads. I've never touched this thing. It still works great. I've got an old PF22 with some brake buster. You can dilute it if you want or not. If you don't, it really doesn't matter. I think I have it diluted like, it's like 60% brake buster. Lambskin mitt, Tough Shine tire brush, little baby one, which I don't think will need Easy Detail brush, and then a Race Glaze XL for the lugs. And then I have some undiluted brake buster in here to do the tires. We have the OG Spec wand and gun, OG Spec fittings, and I always make a mark on here. And so that's what we're going to be using here to clean the wheels. And then, just because it's so dirty, it'll make it a little easier. I'm going to remove the wheels and coat them, but for now, getting the wheel wells and all that stuff, I might as well clean it up while I'm here. I already put OG tire dressing on it when I was at the dealership. Go hit the button. So notice, I don't want to get up in there. I don't want to risk to damage anything or blow through some paint. But I do want to get the dust from the carbon ceramics blown out. I find that that's what helps with squeaking. Really with any brake. Super swampy yesterday. Oh, this is my new seat. Look at that. Sonic seat, way more comfortable than that Griot's Adams plastic thingy. It's okay if you get this on the paint. Remember your wheels are painted too, so if your wheels can't handle the product, your paint, like if your wheels can handle the product, then your paint can handle the product too. So don't get too bent out of shape here. Clean the front and back, clean the face. I always prefer the two-handed method. Rather than filling up my bucket with soap and water, I just don't want to get all that funky crap all over the bucket and all over my stuff. Clean the tires. Done. That's the process. So to recap, the wheel cleaning process goes like this for me. This is just a process that I've developed over years of fumbling through this. Step one, rinse it. Especially when you have big brakes or larger like carbon ceramics like we have on this car, I find that blowing out all the cracks and crevices, for instance, these are cross-drilled carbon ceramics, blowing out all the dust and all the stuff from the pad buildup will help with squeaking and things like that in the future. Step two, I'm going to foam it with P&S brake buster in my PF22 foam cannon, and generally I have it diluted 60-40, something like that. You could go straight up if you wanted to, 50-50. I don't know. I don't know why I picked 60-40. It just seems to work. Then from there, I'm going to grab my Easy Detail brush, clean behind the caliper because the Incredible brush flat won't fit. Then I'll swipe and clean up the wheel well. After the wheel well, grab my Incredible brush. You need the flat version in order to fit behind larger rotors. So Incredible brush flat, clean the rest of the barrel. Then lugs and valve stem using Race Glaze XL. After that, grab my lambskin mitt, do behind and in front of the whole face, and as much as I can reach into the back side of the face of the wheel. After that, then I respray the tires down, even though it's kind of been soaking in the brake buster. I spray the tires to the undiluted brake buster. In my process, I don't want to strip the tire, I just want to surface clean it. After that, rinse it off, move on to the next one. Time to rinse. See how this bead maker does. After a lot of rain, single bead maker application. works pretty well. Let's set up our foam cannon. That holster's awesome. So we got our Decon soap. I like to fill up the wash bucket after I foam the car. And you just shoot it off like that. Take our cap. Gosh, little improvements like this, just, even though this looks stupid, functionally, it's excellent. I don't know about visually being excellent looking, but from a functional perspective, it's really good. It still stands up just fine. All right, let's foam it. So for me, the concept of foaming is to, get some soap on the car, and the foam for me is lubrication, not so much for cleaning. It also helps me remember where I've washed and where I haven't, but the main reason why I like to do it is because it looks freaking cool. So that's what we're doing here. Dump the rest in a soap bucket, which helps us get an appropriate amount of soap. All right. So this soap, the concept here is that I don't want something so aggressive it's going to damage things, like mess up my rubber seals over time and things like that. But it's super, super slick because it is basic in nature. It has a pH of about 9 and change. I think it was about 9. I think it rounded up to 9. I didn't want any scents or any weirdness. I wanted it to smell like it smells, which is like a soap. But it's super, super slick, and it does, it'll strip off this bead maker, at least most of it. Which, again, this 3-step process is going to take care of all of the work of getting the car prepared to polish. Whether your car's coated and you're going to strip the coating off, or it has a sealant or wax, I'm telling you, this process works wonders. Gets the car really clean and prepared. Somehow I got a flat spot on my wheel. I forgot to get another wheel. And then we clean, just like normal. I don't want to scratch it if I can help it. No reason to add any more scratches, even though we're going to polish it. I'm going to take my time, work from top to bottom. We're going to get this car ready to make look insane. Can't wait to see what this thing looks like after some perfect finish. My guess is it's probably still going to need 2 steps. But we're going to find out. Stop trying to cheap out and find some other thing on sale or some other crap. Just buy the soap. It's good. The amount of frickin' work I had to do to get this soap to exist. I'd rather just buy it from Adams or somebody, but unfortunately, I had to go and make it happen. People ask me often about cleaning the wiper blades. The way I do it is I just let the wiper blades sit on the pad and then just drag it across. I don't find a need to aggressively wipe it down. Yeah, this car's still not going to eclipse the M3 in my favorite cars to wash. I actually like I can already tell, I like washing the GT3 better. Don't ask me why. I'm just telling you what my gut's telling me here. Gotta get rid of these. I ordered those last night. These amber side markers are no good. So all these bugs, I'm gonna get what I get just doing that. And the remainder we'll get normally in the drying process. Stop with all this bug remover bull crap. If it's removing bugs, it's removing your protection. So don't do that. All the companies come out with it because they think you want it. Because you tell them you want it. But I'm telling you don't. Once we coat it, we won't need it. That one little swipe will take any bug off. And again, if it doesn't, we'll capture it when we're doing our drying and using a drying aid. So what's interesting about this soap, you can see it. You can see like it looks different than other soaps. So normally when I'm doing this process of Decon, I'm having to do a lot more work, but I did a 2.5 hour wash at the dealership. So we've already dealt with a lot of the door jams and funkiness from delivery, from shipping. So a lot of this is already good to go. All right, let's rinse it. We'll leave our buckets because we'll need them for dipping our auto scrub in. So this is where you want to switch to deionized water if you have it. Yeah, so you can see the water just parked on the car. No more bead maker. All right, next up is iron removal, where I'm just gonna spray on the surface of the car. This stuff smells real bad. The idea here is that I wanna get any embedded iron off of the surface prior to doing any kind of abrasion to the surface, whether it's polishing or, and our next step is going to be, you know, the auto scrub or clay barring or, you know, whatever you want to call it, the mechanical side or the touching of the painted surface. And so what I don't want to do is dislodge any embedded metal particles that could then scratch the crap out of the surface. Plus, a lot of those aren't going to come. They won't dislodge on their own. They're too small, too microscopic, that are embedded in the jaggedness of the clear coat, if you will. If you wanted to be ultimately effective with this, you might consider lightly drying the car off first. Hit the wheels too. But I doubt, first of all, we're not going to see anything because this has a blue-purple to it, the paint. But if there was any little bit of metal embedded, this will take care of it. I wouldn't douse your carbon ceramic rotors down with this, but it's not going to hurt anything. Basically, by the time I get done spraying the whole surface of the car, it's about time to spray it off. You could also put some gloves on or grab a wet microfiber towel and agitate it, but I don't find that necessary. So I used this is a 500 milliliter bottle. To do this whole car, I probably used about 300 milliliters. 3/10 of a liter to do the whole thing. Usually leave it on there for 4 or 5 minutes. If this was a white car, we would show you the iron, but you aren't going to see squat on this one. Now remember, the iron removal process, this chemical only removes the iron. Sorry, hiding behind the pole. It only removes the iron. It doesn't do anything else. So you still have to do the rest of the process. And it's not something that, unless you live on like next door to a railroad, it's not something you need to do very often either. Okay, next step, part I hate because I'm about to sweat my nuts off, is auto scrub. Now, you could say it probably doesn't need it, but I'd rather be on the safe side since we're going to polish it anyway. Let's get it totally decontaminated, although it feels pretty darn good. I know the wing had some crunchies on it, just a little bit. I felt one right there. So we're gonna go through and do the whole car regardless. But you know, one could argue that you would only clay when you need to clay. Whenever I have a new car like this, I'd rather just do it. And I don't like to do it in the soap, and a lot of people like to skip steps, and I probably would skip steps if I was doing this professionally. But this is my beloved GT4, so I'm gonna take my sweet old time and do extra steps. But if you were doing this for a living, you know, maybe you would try to limit some of this, just get this job done as quickly as possible. And do this like during the wash part, but I like doing it this way. And if most of you that are doing this for fun, taking care of your cars, maybe doing a couple of buddies' cars occasionally, I would do it this way too. But what do I know? I'm just a fake detailer out here playing with my GT4. With the audacity to be shooting with a 2 camera guys, a Canon C200 and a red. That's when you know you got some narcissism in your blood. There are many ways to do this. You could use soap as a lubricant. Some people will use the iron remover as a lubricant. I prefer this dedicated step, Nanoskin Glide. The reason why I like this, as far as I can tell, there's no real additive. It's more of a soap that doesn't leave a residue or leave as much residue behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to saturate the surface. You can't use too much of it. Saturate the surface and abrade it. I'm using an abrasive, which is the Nanoskin Sponge. The reason why I use the fine version is it's less abrasive. I don't need to have a lot of abrasion here because the car, if it does have any surface contaminants, it's very, very minimal. So remember, we removed the iron in the iron removal step, but we didn't remove other non-ferrous or non-metal particles. And so that's what this step is going to do. And I want to add some lubrication because when I dislodge that stuff, I'm hoping that it'll roll across a soapy or lubricated surface rather than having it you know, just sort of dragging across water or a dry surface for sure. So this process should take you 30 minutes or so. I don't think you need to micromanage it. You just need to get the dirt off the surface that's embedded, that's left over. Naturally, you want to wash the car before this, and in a best case scenario, you want to remove the iron first. But this would be the last step in the decon process. All right, that's the process. Actually, the rain coming in cooled it off quite a bit out here. So see, water's just parked on there. So we've successfully decontaminated it. Successfully removed anything off of it. All right, so I'm gonna blow it off here. So when we're drying, you know, we really need to, in this particular case, I'm concerned with getting all the dirt and funk out of the jams, which of course I already did. You saw in the previous episode I did that at the dealership. But I want to blow out as much as I can to get the car prepared to tape. In this case, I'm going to be taping and polishing the car tomorrow, so the car should be dry. But in normal instances, when you're going to polish the car, I want to make sure I'm using the leaf blower, blow out as much as I possibly can, take that extra time. The other reason why I want to blow as much water off as I can is I'm not going to use a drying aid when I'm using my towel. So the towels I'm using in this is a 59-inch, I believe, big waffle weave drying towel combined with having a secondary of my normal sort of drying aid towel, the orange towel, which is a twist loop type. And I'm going to take those two towels and go and wipe and dry off all the areas. Again, I think if your jams are dirty and funky, this is the time to really clean those out. So get in there with something like Optimum OptiClean and clean out the jams, whatever you didn't get in the normal washing phase. But drying here is important. Get it dry. I'll also probably use an air compressor to blow out all the jams one more time prior to taping. Okay, so we don't want any extra stuff here. We just want to dry it. All right, so I don't want to put any drying aid or any kind of detail spray. I don't want any of that crap on here. I don't want anything impeding with my polishing. Now, this isn't going to dry all that well because it's freaking 1000% humidity, but I just want to get the surface water off because my DI filters are about toast, so I don't know how much DIing we're doing here with that. Man, this car is about to look freaking insane when it's done. Let this be I don't know about a lesson, but let me explain that, again, I deconned this out here, outside. It's gonna sit out here until I can drive it to the garage without it not being super wet, right? So clearly I'm gonna pick up some dust and dirt and things like that. So imagine, you know, you're doing this in your driveway or you're doing it in your garage, you gotta do it over a week or two or something like that, because you don't have the ability to do it all in like a weekend or all in a day. What I'm going to do is when I take the car back over the garage, I'm just going to wipe it down. Hopefully, if it's dry out and I don't get destroyed by a bunch of rain and mud and sand and crap, I won't have to wash it. I won't have to rinse it. So all I'll do, hopefully I'll just be able to wipe it down with some eraser. And then what you can do if you're in your garage or driveway is you can just treat, like, let's say I'm going to work on this one panel here. I've deconned it. It's done. Now it's dusty or dirty, and so I just clean this panel prior to polishing. And then let's say it's another few days before I can get the coating done. Same thing. I just clean the panel. I do it one panel at a time. So you can do it outside. You can do it in a garage. You can do it, in a semi-covered bay like this. Shouldn't be a big deal. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to have some air-conditioned perfect space. Now, I don't know how well a coating's going to do out here in this humidity, but you could probably still do it. EXO might be a pain in the butt to deal with out here, but I think CSL would go on just fine. But I want the car to dry off. So when I'm polishing, I hate it when, like, you know, water's running out of the jams, and you can blow out as much as you want to blow out with the compressed air and a leaf blower and all of that, but you'll still have water spilling out of different surfaces. So I prefer to let it sit a day or sit overnight prior to me polishing. I don't think I could buy a used car ever again. Problem is, if I get a 997 RS 4.0, I'm gonna have to buy a used. If I get a Speciale, I'm gonna have to buy it used. Can't take that badge off. Sad. Should we perform our first modification here? First mod, bro. Pulling the leash off. Title it Mod Everybody Should Do That Didn't Know About. Like, how can we make it real catchy? This mod will change your vehicle's life. XXX Fire. Let's do it. First mod, Bryce. Let's snip this little puppy off. I wonder if I can pull it off. Nope. Slicing up my $150 gas cap. I'm wearing the Blood Hand shirt. Let's not make it true. There we go. Nicely done. First mod. Gosh, I hate that. Boom. Like that. And then when I get gas, I take that, put it there. I don't need a stinking leash. I'm not a baby. Sweet. All right, that's a wrap on Decon. So we went through the multiple step process, right? We started with removing hopefully some of the sealant or wax, in this case bead maker with Decon soap, and then followed with iron remover. You can use, I sell Optimum Fair-X because it's a little easier to get a hold of than the CarPro stuff, but I used CarPro Iron X on this, and then followed with the auto scrub stuff. Again, I think you only need fine. You don't need the more aggressive, like the medium version. So get the blue sponge, get the blue bigger pad. You could put it on a machine if you wanted to, but I prefer to just do it by hand. I feel like it's much quicker. the machine, I feel like, doesn't do as good of a job because the orbit is only 15 or 21 millimeters, and versus your hand, you can make it 2 feet. So yeah, that's the process of getting the car prepared for the next step, which will be taping and then test spot, polishing, and then coating. And on this car, I'm not going to do paint protection film. I want to see this blue, and I'm just going to deal with the 2 or 3 rock chips that I get over time. And my M3 is not PPF. My Civic doesn't have PPF. In fact, the only car I've ever had PPF on was my GT3 RS and my previous RS. So anyway, thanks for watching. Next part of the series we'll be jumping into polishing. So we're getting close to having the car just exist, but man, what a fun experience it's been doing this whole process from start to finish. Catch you in the next episode.